Hey gang, this is Rich again. I got this video that I'd like you to watch that will help you establish value of real property when you're working quickly. This is a 30,000 foot look at a property's value. In other words, we're not trying to narrow it down to the nth degree. We're just not going to be able to do that. We have so many properties that we're trying to look at and so many list penances that we're trying to work. It's not the same as if you're trying to establish a value for a seller or for a property that you're trying to sell. You really want to get right down to the nitty-gritty. This is going to be a 30,000 foot look of how we establish value quickly without killing yourself. And it's going to take some time, and there's some terms that you'll be familiar with and terms that you're not going to be familiar with. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Okay, the subject property. It's important to understand the aspects of this subject property. It's in foreclosure. The homeowner is in distress. We're not going to have any access to the inside of the property, so we can't do any interior inspections. So, of course, that weighs heavily in not knowing about the condition, but we're not going to worry about the condition when we're working LPs. All we're going to have available to us is what's in the public records, mainly MLS, and an exterior photo on the outside. That's it. We're not going to go to the backyard. We can't check their roof, nothing. So it's really sort of a pencil view or a sketch or something. Okay, so even though we're going to be doing this quickly, we still have to use comparable sales to find the perfect comp, because that's what we're searching for. We're searching for the perfect comp. Now, what is the perfect comp? The perfect comp is a property that's right next to the subject. It's got the same floor plan, same number of square feet. They receive CO or certificate of occupancy on the same day. And it closed yesterday to an end user. That's a perfect comp. Now, how often are they going to come around? Not a lot. So we have to do our best to find something that's as close to the perfect comp as we can get. So here's where we have to begin. We have to begin with MLS information. So what we want to try to get, I know that back in the day, I used to have to do this by hand. But nowadays, I know that MLS, you can search properties and neighborhoods and subdivisions so much easier that this shouldn't take you guys but a few minutes. We want all the active listings within a quarter mile, all of them. We want all pending sales within a quarter mile again, and all closed sales within a quarter mile. And if we can't get enough, when I say enough, I want to have more than 3. You can go out to a half mile, and you can push it to a mile if you have to. But the farther away you get from the subject property, the less valuable those comps are. Okay, so I also only want you to use qualified sales. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the terms I like to use, qualified sale is an arm's length transaction. An investor and bank sale, they're not true representations of the market, because we don't know what the investor or the bank offered to the buyer in order to sell it. Did they offer closing cost help? Did they offer down payment assistance? Did they buy down the interest rate? We don't know. That stuff is not going to happen normally between a buyer and a seller at an arm's length transaction. There's not going to be a lot of that. But investor and bank sales are not true representations of the market. So if one of the parties is an investor or a bank, I'm going to exclude that sale. I'm not going to be able to use that because it's not qualified. Quitclaim deeds are also not representations of the market. Quitclaim deed might have come in there just to clear title between a husband and wife, an heir and an executor, whatever. But qualified sales are not bank sales, investor sales, or quitclaim deeds. What we would like to get is, we would love to see if the property that is the subject of our investigation today is going to be previously listed, because that would give us a lot of information, because we're not going to be able to get in and take a look at the bedrooms. Not that the photographs and the listings, a listing that's a year old is going to give us up-to-date information, but it's going to give us something. Same with the size of the room, same with the layout. We'll be able to tell based on the previous listing. So it's great if you can get one of those. Okay, so here now, once we've got all our information from the MLS. Now what we have to do, we're not going to sit down and break this down into the nth degree again. We're just going to try to get a ballpark value so we have something to go on so we can decide which way we want to work this LP, whether we want to work it straight up and there's value and equity right on its face, or whether we have to do it as a short sale. So let's see what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate the data from the properties that don't match our subject. For example, so we're going to go by the size of the comp, square feet, bedrooms and bath. If we're comparing a 3.2 to a 3.1, I'm not crazy about it, but if I have to reach for it, I can. But I don't want to compare a 3.2 to a 2.1. Date of sale. We want to use the most recent sales, preferably within 3 months, 6 months. Markets are constantly changing, so I'm going to suggest that a year back may not be the best comp we could use, but if that's all we got, let's go with it. Proximity to the subject. Obviously, the closer the better. Just as in my example for a perfect comp, the perfect comp is right next door. An imperfect comp is in the next town or the next state, so we're not going to use those. We want to get as close to the comp as possible. And again, we want to make sure that we use qualified sales only. And you do the best you can to match your comps to the subject. Because we're not going to get down like appraisers and try to give pluses and minuses for a garage versus a carport. It's not at that stage right now. We just want to get a ballpark value so we know what to do with this LP. We want to be able to help this homeowner. Okay, studying the comps. This is the part that you really need to pay attention to. Active to pending ratio. What that is that's the number of active listings over the pending sale number as a ratio. Now, let me give you an example, and I think I have something written down here to help me. Okay, this is a ratio created by the number of active listings in specific subdivision over a specific period of time, for example, 3 to 6 months, over the number of pending sales during that same period of time. This ratio is a reflection of the activity in the subdivision and can help you set your asking price a bit more accurately. Now, I use the same slide in my full course on how to establish value. But that's when we're trying to establish value for ourselves as investors to either buy or sell, or for homeowners looking to get top dollar given the fact that they have enough time to wait. Okay, so an active pending ratio of 5/7, or 5/7, for example, 5 active listings over 7 pending sales would be an indication of the market beginning to warm up. 7 pending sales with only 5 listings to satisfy the wants and needs of the current buyers. I might consider adjusting the price upward in a subdivision with a 5/7 or 5/7 active to pending ratio. On the other hand, if an active to pending ratio is 7 active listings over 5 pending sales, that might indicate a market where properties are coming to market faster than they can be sold off. This could also indicate a slowing market or merely a subdivision hiccup, in all honesty. But I would suggest considering an aggressive pricing model closer to the lowest priced listing in this case, because there's a lot more properties for sale. There's more properties for sale than are pending. But the active to pending ratio is something that's very important. And in and of itself, it may not mean too much. But when you combine it with the active listings and pending sales, days on market, that's the next line there. The number of days on market means the actual number of days each listing has been active on the market. The number of days on the market for a pending sale is the total number of days from the original date when it came onto the market until the day it went pending. The number of days on market for each active and each pending, when taken by themselves, they mean something. But when you take it in combination with the APR, or the active to pending ratio, it'll certainly add some flavor and some color to our valuation. Because this is pretty much as far as we're going to go. We're not going to look at comparable adjustments. We're not going to try to compare lot sizes. So don't be afraid to be done here. Don't be afraid if you only come up with 1 or 2 comps that are good for you. And don't worry about landing on a number. Try to land on a range. For example, it's between 150 and 135. Don't make the range like 150 and 300. That's not a range. That's a gap. That's too big. But you do your best to land on a range that will help us get to a potential number for this LP so we can decide whether or not we want to list this property with equity or whether or not we're going to have to go with it for a short sale. All right, well, thanks a lot. Anyways, I appreciate y'all watching. I'm probably going to post this on YouTube, so it'll be accessible to anybody. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. I'd love to grow the channel a little bit and be able to bring more of these videos to you. But thank you. Again, this is Rich, and I appreciate it very much.